As I stepped into the room, my eyes widened with terror. The bed and sofa were there, but nothing else. Empty. I felt confused and scared. Getting closer to the TV, I noticed a blue note stuck on the screen. My heart started beating fast. I read it and it said, "Check under the bed."
I was stuck in the middle of a toxic relationship with my girlfriend. Tensions between us had reached a boiling point. Desperate for a change of scenery, we headed out of town for a weekend getaway to the mountains, hoping the surroundings would provide a much-needed break from our constant arguments. But even in the mountains, surrounded by nature, we were still having issues getting along. By the second night, after a big fight, I found myself unable to bear another moment in the same room with her. Opting for some much-needed space, I made the decision to seek refuge in a nearby budget motel, hoping that a night apart would be a good reprieve from us. The room was modest but clean, offering me a break from the drama of our relationship. For just $50, it seemed like a small price to pay for some peace. As I settled in, I couldn't help but notice that the room next door had its door wide open. Peeking inside, I found it empty, except for the blue light of a television. Returning to my own room, I tried to distract myself with the TV and my phone. Yet a strange noise persisted in the background, distinct from the usual motel sounds. Turning off the TV only made the source of the strange sounds more obvious. It was coming from next door. Was it an argument, a loud TV, or someone in trouble? With no other options, I attempted to fall asleep. However, I was woken up by loud banging noises that sounded like someone punching the wall between our two rooms. Startled, I got up out of bed and approached the source of the noise. Once again, I heard a fist pounding against the wall. Puzzled and a little freaked out, I gathered my courage and decided to see what was going on. As I walked into the next room, I couldn't help but notice that the door was still wide open. The TV was also still on, but there was no sound. I lightly knocked on the door, calling out to see if everything was okay, if anyone needed assistance, but no response. Looking inside, I saw the bathroom door open and the room dark. Curiosity getting the better of me, I went back inside the room. As I reached a vantage point where I could see the bed and sofa, I realized the room was completely empty. For a minute, I just stood there, completely frozen and confused. What the heck was going on? Approaching the TV, my eyes caught sight of a blue sticky note stuck to the screen. With trembling fingers, I peeled it off and read the message. "Check under the bed." My heart pounded as I dropped the note and bolted out of the room, slamming the door shut behind me. Back in my own room, I double-locked the door with the extra chain lock and texted my girlfriend about what just happened. I was freaking out, and I couldn't wrap my head around the strange encounter. Once she called me back, I explained everything, but mid-sentence, the banging started again, and it was loud. She heard it too, and frankly, we were both freaking out. She told me to run to my car or the front desk. The motel front desk seemed to be the safest bet. Plus, it meant I might be able to get a refund. So I approached the clerk, detailing the strange noises and the open room next door, urging him to investigate whoever might be there. His response was odd, though. He gave me a strange look, before casually dismissing my concerns, claiming that no one was checked into either of the neighboring rooms. This struck me as odd, since I had seen signs of occupancy earlier. I persisted, insisting that he at least check the room to be sure. Eventually, he relented, accompanying me with a key in hand. Upon unlocking the door, the room was cloaked in darkness, the TV eerily silent. As we stepped inside, I bent down to peer under the bed, just as the note had suggested, but to my surprise, even the sticky note I had dropped earlier was nowhere to be found. Despite my insistence, the clerk refused to refund my money, At that point, I was willing to part with $50 just to escape the situation. Returning to the hotel room, I felt total relief upon seeing my girlfriend. We hugged tightly, and for the first time that weekend, we slept peacefully in the same bed, together. The strange occurrences at the motel still to this day are a mystery. We never discovered the source of the noises, and truthfully, I'm not sure I want to know. It was undeniably creepy, but in a strange twist, it brought my girlfriend and me closer together.
Every summer, my friends Matt, Luke, and I would embark on an annual camping trip together. This time, we decided on exploring the wilderness of Glacier National Park in Montana. Luke, our resident photographer, always brings along his arsenal of camera gear, eager to capture and immortalize the trip. The first day of our adventure was amazing. We hiked through beautiful country, explored hidden trails, and truly soaked in the sights around us. And naturally, Luke captured many amazing photos of the start of our adventure. As night falls, we settle into our campsite. Our group had 2 tents. I had my little one just for me, and the other 2 guys shared the bigger one. After our first day, we were all so exhausted that as soon as our heads hit the pillows, we were fast asleep. The second day of our camping trip was more relaxed. We spent some time fishing by a cool river and doing other fun activities. But things took a strange turn that second night. After putting out the campfire, we all crawled into our tents. We hadn't even begun to drift off to sleep when we started hearing noises from outside in the woods. It sounded as clear as day, a person's voice, sounding like that of an old lady. The voice kept getting louder and clearer every few seconds, as if someone were walking closer. I whispered over to my friends in the other tent if they heard it too, and they did. Someone was definitely out there. The voice got so close, we could hear a clear, "Hello," coming from right outside her tent. My heart was racing like crazy. Now, you might think we were jerks for not going to help an old woman lost in the woods, but something felt wrong. It's pretty scary to hear someone calling hello in the middle of the night from the dark woods. From the dark woods, footsteps drew closer to my tent, then halted. Right next to it. The voice said, "Hello" again, but this time it was right by the tent wall. Up close, it didn't sound like an old lady anymore. It sounded like a man trying to sound like a woman by making his voice higher. Suddenly, the person started shaking my tent really hard. I freaked out and yelled, "What do you want?" One of my friends in the other tent shouted at the person to go away. As fast as it started, the shaking stopped, and we heard footsteps rushing away. Trembling and a bit shaken up, I waited a few moments before slowly unzipping my tent and grabbing my sleeping bag. I ran over to the other guy's tent, feeling like something might grab me any second. Inside the tent with them, I felt a little safer. We all agreed that the voice wasn't a lady, but some creep trying to fool us. But why? Was he dangerous? Did he have a weapon? We decided it wouldn't be safe to pack up and leave in the dark, so we all agreed to wait until sunrise and then get out of there, as fast as we could. Additionally, we decided someone would need to stay awake all night to keep watch. Matt volunteered to be the first lookout while Luke and I tried to sleep, which felt impossible after what just happened. Every little sound outside the tent made us jump. Eventually, exhaustion took over, and I finally drifted off to sleep. Luckily, I slept through the rest of the night, apparently because Luke fell asleep on his watch, and we all ended up sleeping until morning. We were so relieved to see the sun peeking over the horizon. We packed up our camp as fast as we could and hightailed it back to our truck. The drive home was long and quiet. While en route, Luke scrolled through his camera roll, reviewing all the cool pictures he had taken over the past 2 days. The last few pictures in the roll, though, were creepy and sent chills down our spines. There were 2 pictures taken of our campsite in the dark, and a third one, taken from inside our tent, of us, sleeping. Thankfully, nothing was missing or stolen, and we weren't attacked. But this whole experience still gives us the heebie-jeebies. Someone was lurking in the woods watching our tent all night. They waited for the perfect moment to sneak into our campsite, maybe go through our stuff, then boldly snuck right into our tent and took a picture of all of us, sleeping. They probably just wanted to scare us, and, mission accomplished, this experience terrified us, half to death.
In the winter of 2018, my girlfriend Claire and I were eager to escape the chilly winter weather of the Northeast. Taking advantage of a week off work, we decided to head to a beautiful beach resort in Mexico. The allure of warm waters and perfect weather was too tempting to resist. Plus, the resort offered an amazing all-inclusive deal for the entire week, including meals, drinks, pools, shows, and even excursions. We had big plans for our time away. In the beginning, we simply relaxed at the resort, enjoying the luxury of unlimited drinks and soaking up the sun by the pool. Surrounding the resort, we could see lush jungle, and nearby there were scenic roads calling out to be explored. On the third day of our trip, Claire and I decided to take a shuttle to a nearby car rental place to go exploring. The shuttle driver warned us to stick close to the coast due to potential danger further inland. We ended up renting a small car, not the SUV that we had hoped for, from a rental place located in a quaint town a few miles from the resort. Our journey took us southward, all the way to Tulum, a town that honestly didn't wow us at all. Disappointed, we turned around and headed back north. Along the way, we stumbled upon a dirt road leading into the jungle. Curious, we decided to see where it would take us. However, our peaceful excursion took a terrifying turn when three scary-looking men suddenly emerged from the jungle, blocking our path. I slowly stopped the car and cracked open the window. One of the men spoke rapidly in Spanish, and we didn't understand what he was saying, which didn't help things. I muttered, "No hablo español," hoping it would diffuse the tension. But as the atmosphere grew more tense, I couldn't shake this feeling of unease. Another man came up to Claire's window, which I advised her against rolling it down for our safety. That decision caused the situation to go from 0 to 60 as the men began demanding money, their voices growing louder and more aggressive. Panic gripped me as I noticed all these men were strapped to the gills. My flight instinct took over, and without hesitation, I slammed my foot on the gas, propelling us forward. The car jerked as we sped away, the men shouting and scrambling to get out of our path. They chased for a short while, but our nimble rental car proved to be much faster. We raced back to the safety of the resort, our hearts still pounding with adrenaline. Shaken, but thankfully unharmed, we decided it was best to stay put for the remainder of the day, opting for caution over further exploration. The following day, determined to put this frightening ordeal behind us, we sought out a change of scenery. Speaking with some of the resort staff, we learned of a beautiful natural swimming hole called a cenote nearby. Intrigued by the idea of cooling off in the crystal-clear waters of an underground cave, we set out once more in our rental car. Following the workers' directions carefully, we navigated down a dirt path near the resort, eager to discover this hidden gem. Eventually, we reached a point where the road ended, parking near a sign indicating the presence of cenotes. To our surprise, we found ourselves alone, ready to enjoy a relaxing afternoon together. Relief washed over us as we strolled along the path from the parking lot, its inviting charm hinting at a serene destination ahead. Yet, our sense of tranquility quickly evaporated as we heard unsettling noises coming from the nearby jungle, leaves rustling, branches swaying, and footsteps echoing in the distance. Exchanging anxious glances, we pressed onward, silently hoping it was just our nerves playing tricks on us. But our hopes were dashed when a man suddenly emerged from the dense undergrowth, his rapid-fire Spanish adding to the tension thickening in the air. Once more, I offered the familiar refrain of "No hablo español." However, the sense of unease continued to hang in the air growing more intense with each passing moment. Attempting to bridge the language barrier, the man switched to broken English, urging us to follow him to the cenote. However, our instincts screamed danger, and we abandoned the signs, opting to trust our gut instinct instead. Claire's sharp eye caught sight of a gun tucked into the belt, and she urgently whispered for us to flee. Without a moment's hesitation, we bolted back to our car, our hearts racing as the man followed us. Thankfully, we managed to get away from him, but our relief was short-lived as 3 more strangers appeared attempting to force their way into the car. With terror gripping us, we sped away before they could do any harm, the sound of pounding fists against the windows echoing in our ears. Claire's tears mingled with my own fear as the reality of the situation sank in. This was far from the relaxing vacation we had envisioned. 2 days in a row, we had narrowly escaped robbery and attack, shattering our false sense of security. Returning the rental car with only a layer of dirt to show for our harrowing ordeal, we sought the safety of the resort, vowing not to venture out again until it was time to leave. We made sure to alert the resort staff about the incidents, hoping to prevent similar dangers for other future guests. Regrettably, we discovered a disturbing reality. Abductions occur frequently here. In fact, Mexico has earned the infamous title of the world's abduction capital. It's a scary reality we couldn't ignore. Furthermore, these dangerous groups don't discriminate based on nationality or purpose. As we boarded the shuttle to take us back to the airport, we knew our vacation had been forever marred by these frightening experiences. Even in what was supposed to be a safe area near the resorts, danger lurked, reminding us of the harsh realities beyond the paradise facade.
It was a classic Vegas scenario. My friends and I descended upon Sin City for a wild, alcohol-fueled weekend to celebrate our friend Dom's 21st birthday bash. The Gold Coast Hotel and Casino became our base camp, strategically located, just a stone's throw away from the craziness of the Las Vegas Strip. After touching down around 5 p.m., we wasted no time getting the night started. First stop? A pilgrimage to the West Coast's iconic burger joint, In and Out, a culinary experience for the East Coasters on our trip. From there, it was on to the Bellagio to try our luck at gambling. Amidst the sea of slot machines and blackjack tables, my buddy Joey and I opted for a more chill approach, content to take it all in while nursing our alcoholic bevies. The draw of complimentary drinks from attractive waitresses was not lost on us, a tactic as old as time in the world of Vegas nightlife. As the night wore on and the alcohol flowed freely, we decided to venture to Lily Bar and Lounge. But fate had other plans. Mid-stride, I was struck by a chilling realization. My wallet was missing. Panic set in as I rifled through my pockets in a desperate search, but to no avail. I became super anxious, asking my friends if they recalled the last time they saw it, but none could remember. Losing my wallet on the first night of our trip was a major setback and definitely put a little bit of a damper on the start of our trip. Determined not to let the setback ruin our night, my friends pressed on to the bar, while Joey, always the good friend, handed over his room key. Meanwhile, I raced back to the casino, retracing my steps with mounting anxiety, but my efforts proved fruitless. With my last hope resting on the sanctity of my hotel room, I rushed to unlock the door, a surge of relief flooding me as it finally yielded. Yet, the room offered me no comfort, my wallet still missing, leaving me crushed and feeling defeated. In a last-ditch effort, I contacted the front desk, clinging to the possibility that my lost wallet might have been found. Once I connected with them, I detailed my predicament. However, the conversation took an unexpected turn when the receptionist mentioned speaking with me just moments ago when I inquired about my room number. I resumed my search for the missing wallet, even checking the closet to no avail. However, I noticed that the bathroom door was shut. Taking a deep breath, I flung it open, half expecting to find someone inside. Fortunately, the room was empty, but a strange shadow lurked behind the shower curtain, sending my heart pounding with unease. Swiftly, I retreated and called security, informing them of an intruder in the bathroom. Responding quickly, security rushed to the scene and guided them to the room. To everyone's surprise, the intruder turned out to be just some homeless meth head. And also he turned out to be the thief who had stolen my wallet. Security apprehended the man and contacted the police. During interrogation, the intruder confessed to finding the wallet outside the hotel, attempting to obtain the room number from the front desk, and then unlawfully entering the room. Thankfully, the police intervened swiftly, removing the intruder from the premises and returning the stolen wallet to its rightful owner. This unsettling experience came to an end, bringing relief to me and ensuring the safety of everyone. Truthfully, the situation could have turned out much worse, but luckily, everything worked out okay in the end. At first, my friends didn't believe my story because it was just so bizarre, but the hotel security backed up my version of events. After this scary experience, the remainder of the trip went as planned, a wild time in Vegas. As the saying goes, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, except for herpes. That stuff will stay with you for life.
My family owns a cabin in Vermont, perfect for winter sports. It sits on a hilltop, surrounded by woods, with the nearest neighbors far enough away that their houses can't be seen. We have a big shed outside, where we keep snowboarding gear and other supplies. We usually unlock it for our entire stay, since there's no need to worry about theft. The house itself is spacious, with a top-floor loft bedroom reserved for my parents. This one weekend, I was going there with Melissa, a friend I planned to teach how to snowboard. We had a beginner board and all the gear ready. Since our property has a steep hill, we built our own little snowboarding slope. Before taking her to the actual mountain, I figured I'd teach her the basics on our hill. We geared up, and I started down the slope slowly, showing her the movements. As expected, she fell on her first try, but she kept getting back up and trying again. With each run down the hill, she got better. At some point, we both heard a man's voice call out, "Hello!" from the woods. Confused, we looked around but only saw trees and snow. It seems like someone should be easy to spot in all that white, but we saw nothing. I called out, "Is someone there?" But only silence. We were a little freaked out, so we headed back to the house. I didn't think it was the neighbors, because their driveway wasn't shoveled, and the ones further up wouldn't have a reason to come down. We figured it was just someone hiking. We went out to a diner and then got groceries. Since it was getting late, we decided to relax at the house for the rest of the night. We had dinner and then enjoyed the fire pit outside. Later, we both heard the distinct sound of footsteps in the snow nearby. I turned off the music to listen better, but with the crackling fire, it wasn't completely quiet. Whatever it was stopped making noise after a while. Feeling uneasy, I asked for Melissa's phone so we could both use our flashlights to check the woods again. I called out, "Is someone there?" which scared Melissa. We went back inside and didn't go out again that night. The next morning, I woke up to Melissa getting out of bed. Still tired, I went back to sleep. When I woke up again, she was still gone. I looked at the time. It was already 9 a.m. As I got up and went to the window, I saw the shed door open, with puffs of breath coming out from behind it. I wondered what Melissa was doing out there. I called out her name, but her voice came from inside the house. Goosebumps rose on my arms. I kept seeing the puffs of breath coming from the shed. I yelled, "Hey, who's in my shed?" Seconds later, I ran inside to find Melissa watching TV, or rather standing frozen in front of the couch. In the back, I saw a figure in black running into the woods. I looked for my boots, but by the time I put them on, it was too late to chase whoever it was. I checked the shed, but nothing seemed missing. I relocked it for safety and saw footprints leading from the woods to the shed and back. I wasn't about to follow them, though. After calming down a bit, we ate breakfast and headed for the mountain, where Melissa surprisingly picked up snowboarding quickly. We planned to spend another day snowboarding before heading back. That night, we cooked a steak dinner and watched a movie. We didn't want to be outside in the dark again after the previous night's events. In the middle of the night, Melissa woke me up shaking and scared. She explained and told me to listen. We sat in silence for about 30 seconds before hearing a long drawn-out, "Help me!" from outside. Melissa was hysterical. Then we heard the voice again. I went to the window, but Melissa begged me not to open it. I peeked out a corner of the curtain, but it was pitch black. I cracked the window open, and a blast of cold air hit me. I listened, trying to figure out where the voice was coming from, when I suddenly heard footsteps in the snow, getting louder and coming towards the window. I quickly shut it and relocked it. Whoever it was saw me, though. A knock on the window confirmed it. I looked at Melissa hiding under the blanket, whimpering. We decided not to respond or acknowledge them. Luckily, there were no more noises from outside. It was a long, sleepless night. Eventually, exhaustion took over and we fell asleep. The next morning, I checked around the house and found footprints, circling it completely around the house. It could be one person or multiple. We were shaken to the core. It was clear we were being stalked. Leaving early was the only option. We locked everything back in the shed, hearts pounding. We packed the car in a frenzy and drove it back to Rhode Island. We checked the cabin once we were back home, but thankfully nothing was broken, stolen, or even seemed disturbed. Though safe now, the incident still stayed a mystery. Who was that person in the woods? What did they want from us? Was it the same person from the first night, or maybe even multiple people? The isolation of the cabin made the whole experience even scarier. The thought of someone watching you, and you are not alone, is a frightening thing.